What if I told you that Mama just tried a soup that's been simmering for 50 years? Yes, half a century, lovingly maintained by 3 generations of a family, is now one of her go-to restaurants in Bangkok. From the first sip, it's pure magic. But the adventure doesn't stop there, and somewhere in between, she explores other parts of the bustling streets of this incredible city and a little shopping. A whirlwind tour of Khao San Road, Bangkok's iconic street famous for its electric nightlife, vibrant energy, and endless surprises. Join us for a day of flavor, culture, and adventure you won't forget. Kopung ka! Before we do though, make sure you like the video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and of course ring that notification bell to make sure that you stay up to date on all of our new uploads. Mama embarked on a most delicious adventure to one of Bangkok's most famous spots for its legendary 50-year-old beef noodle soup. But before she could savor that rich, umami-packed broth, she had to get there, and that meant hopping on a bus. The bus stop was conveniently located right in front of her hostel. While waiting for the bus to arrive, Mama stumbled upon a simple and yet delightful treat, a grilled banana for just 25 baht. Often sold by street vendors, is a staple in Thailand and the perfect way to start your day on a healthy vegan breakfast. They call it hukbok in Thailand. I think the bus is arriving. This is the cheapest way to get around Bangkok. Here are some key things to learn to make your bus experience smooth, efficient, and stress-free. Bangkok has both air-conditioned buses, which are usually orange or blue, and non-air-conditioned buses, usually red or white. Air-conditioned buses cost a bit more but are more comfortable, especially in a tropical country like Thailand. Buses are numbered and each route is displayed on the front and side of the bus in Thai and English. Use apps like Google Maps, Viabus or Viabus, or Bangkok Transit to check bus routes, schedules, and real-time updates. Know your route. Before boarding, double-check the bus number and direction. Some buses have the same number but go in opposite directions. Remember what happened to Mama yesterday? Link in the description. Look for bus stop signs. Major stops often have English signage. If you're unsure, don't hesitate to ask the driver or fellow passengers. Many locals are friendly and willing to help. Payment methods. The fare for non-air-conditioned buses is typically between 8 and 10 baht. Air-conditioned buses cost a little more. The fare ranges from about 10 baht to 30 baht, depending on the distance you travel. It's one of the most affordable transportation options in Bangkok. When you board the bus, the conductor, usually dressed in a uniform, or a person carrying a device to collect the fare, will approach you for payment. You can pay them directly when you board or after you find a seat. They might walk up and down the aisle of the bus to collect fares, and they'll also help you with any questions regarding stops or fares. If you pay with a larger bill, example 20 baht or higher, the conductor will give you change, but be aware that sometimes that they may not have enough change for larger bills. It's a good idea to carry small change to avoid this issue. Give up your seat to elderly passengers, monks, or pregnant women. It's a sign of respect in Thai culture. Oh, hold on tight. Bangkok traffic can be chaotic and buses often make sudden stops or turns. Oh, and keep your belongings close. Buses can get crowded, especially during peak hours, so keep an eye on your bags and valuables. Avoid rush hours, which is 7 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 7 p.m. if possible, as buses can get extremely crowded. Buses generally run from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., but some routes may have shorter operating hours. Be prepared for delays due to Bangkok's infamous traffic. Patience is key. Keep an eye on your stop and listen for announcements if there's any. Some buses have digital displays showing the next stop. Watch your step. Buses can be high off the ground, so be careful when boarding and exiting. If you're unsure about taking the bus, consider using the BTS SkyTrain, but the K-pop group aren't there, so... or MRT subway for faster and more predictable travel. For short distances, tuk-tuks, taxis, or ride-hailing apps like Grab are convenient alternatives. Taking the bus in Bangkok is not just a way to get around, it's an experience. You'll get to see the city from a local's perspective, discover hidden gems, and maybe even strike up a conversation with a friendly passenger aka stranger.
A few minutes later.
Mama arrived at Botana Panik, and she was immediately struck by the irresistible aroma of simmering broth that seemed to fill the entire street.
Yum!
The shop still had a few hungry diners, but she could tell that in just a little while, it would be filled with a buzzing crowd of locals and tourists, all eager to taste the legendary beef soup. The massive pot stood proudly in the open kitchen, has been used for nearly 5 decades to create the restaurant's signature dish. It was a living testament to the restaurant's dedication to preserving its culinary traditions. She watched as the chef or the cook expertly prepared every meal. They ladled the steaming broth over tender slices of beef and chewy noodles, creating a bowl that looked as comforting as it smelled. The aroma alone was enough to make her mouth water. A large round pot in the corner of the kitchen that resembled a traditional taiko drum. The pot's unique shape, and she couldn't help but wonder if this was where the mutton was cooked. It seemed perfect for slow cooking the meat to tender perfection. Mama sat down and immediately, a friendly staff member approached her with the menu. The variety of options was impressive, with each dish showing the restaurant's specialty. She carefully scanned the menu, intrigued by the different beef soup options and noodle choices. After a moment of contemplation, Mama decided to go for the signature beef soup, and she couldn't wait for the delicious experience ahead. As Mama waited for her meal, she noticed the walls were adorned with vintage photos and decorations, showcasing all of the collective achievements. Each photograph told the story of the establishment's rich history, from humble beginnings to becoming a beloved institution. Framed accolades, newspaper clippings, and recognition lined the walls, showcasing the restaurant's journey through time. Watana Panik is a culinary icon built by many generations. When her order arrived, Mama was struck by how beautifully simple yet deeply satisfying the dish looked. The broth was captivating color and it was glossy, with tender pieces of different cuts of beef, beef balls, and perfectly cooked noodles peeking through sprinkled chopped cilantro. Mama tasted the soup in its pure form without adding any herbs, chili sauce, or other condiments. So she could truly gauge the essence of the broth. With her first sip, she was immediately struck by the depth and complexity of the flavor. The broth was incredibly flavorful. It was beefy, savory, and slightly sweet. She immediately understood why this place had become so famous.
Yum!
She added the condiments that are ever present on tables at most Thai restaurants and eateries, a staple of Thai dining culture, allowing diners to customize their meals to their personal taste. Mama reached for the vinegar and added a little, and chili flakes. The bright aromatic herbs instantly lifted the dish, adding contrast to the rich savory broth. The noodles were firm yet chewy, providing a satisfying texture that complemented the tender beef and rich broth. Even without any additional toppings or sauces, the noodles carried a subtle flavor that enhanced the overall experience. Beef balls, ball.
Pagkagat mo ng tol, sumasambulat sa loob yung juices.
The beef chunks were cooked tenderly, each piece effortlessly breaking apart with an effortless chew. The meat practically melted in her mouth, with a delicate texture that required no force to enjoy. Every bite was a perfect balance of tenderness and rich flavor. As usual, Mama added a generous amount of chili flakes, making it even spicier than before. Mama, do you really want your to explode? Because I can assure you I can make it go faster. As she continued to sip the broth, Mama noticed the layers of flavor. There was a hint of spice, a touch of sweetness from the slow-cooked bones, and a richness that lingered pleasantly. The broth was perfectly balanced, not too heavy or overpowering, but incredibly satisfying. Mama just realized the taiko drum-like pot was where they simmered the broth, allowing all the flavors to develop slowly over time. Once the broth had reached this perfect depth of flavor, they carefully transferred it to a massive, shallow pot. She ordered a cold iced longan tea, perfect remedy to cool her down and wash away the lingering spiciness from her taste buds. With its refreshing sweetness, perfect balance after a flavorful meal. By the end of the dining experience, my mom was not only completely satisfied but extremely impressed by the vibrant flavors and unique dish. She left the restaurant with a full stomach and already looking forward to her next visit to this place. Mama, next time bring me please!